On a warm, hot summer evening, I was sitting down in a chair after cutting the grass. The sun slowly started to come down. Heard a rustle in the bush nearby, and I noticed a face popped out. It was a skunk. Froze because I didn't know what the skunk was going to do. He came out and stared right at me. And after a few moments, he turned around and went back in again. And I got up and went in. And a couple of days later, I was sitting in the backyard again. I heard another rustle further down in the bush further down. The same skunk came out. He looked at me, paused for a while, looked at me again, and slowly started to walk towards me. I started getting nervous until I realized his tail wasn't up, so he wasn't going to cause trouble. He came up halfway and stopped again and stared right at me. After a while, he took off and came back again. Then he took off again. And about a week later, and I was in the same location at night again, the skunk slowly came out. This time, he slowly walking towards me. Came closer and closer. I got a little nervous, but I noticed his tail was down. And he came right beside me and stopped and looked up at me. I looked down at him. But I didn't know what he was going to do. So I stayed put. After a while, he looked at me and just wandered off. He did that for a few more weeks. But every time he got a little closer. And one time I put my hand down and he moved it. Like just say, move it away. So I moved it away. And he just looked at me and wandered off. And one evening, I heard a scratching and banging sound at my back door. So I walked out, opened the door, and walked out. It was a skunk looking at me, fidgety, nervous, but his tail was still down. So I knew I wasn't going to get skunked. But he moved off, came back, moved off. So I turned around, picked some gloves up, and went with him. In a bush far away in the backyard, I found another little baby skunk. It was injured. He came up to it, moved it, and he was okay. Then he allowed me to pick him up. And I know the thing was badly injured. So I picked him up and walked to my house. I put the little baby in a box and called 911 animal. And I explained what was wrong. A few minutes later, a car came up. And actually, this was a guy who knew about animals. Came and checked the animal and said, oh no, this animal's not too good. So I took him off to the pet hospital. And after about 2 weeks, the guy came back in a cage, had the young skunk, lively, running around. So we took the cage to the backyard, left it there for a few moments, and the mother came out and looked at it. He opened the cage, and the skunk rushed away at each other. And he looked like they hugged each other. By now you know, the skunk and now are still friends. Throughout the winter, I didn't see them. But as springs come up and fall, from the spring and fall and summer season, I see them all the time. They become good friends. At the time, they just come up and look at me. They climb over me and check me out. One time, it was a dark night, but it's starting to get a little cloudy coming in. So the skunks were still around me, climbing over me, the younger ones, and the newer ones from the other brood. There was a lot of young kids and grandchildren, the whole bit. But the mother was sat there and looked at me. And suddenly I heard a voice yelling, hey, watch out, get up. It's going to rain. I looked down. The skunk looked at me again and just took off. So I got up, went back into the house. As soon as I stepped in, it started pouring rain. And the skunk, I don't know if it was a skunk or not, but I wasn't sure. But I think the skunk gave me a warning. So next time they came out, I looked at the skunk and I asked him, how are you? And the skunk looked at me and said, not too bad. It's a nice day out. I had a very easy day. I'm going to do some hunting with my family, teach them how to hunt for food and all this. And I go, oh, that's a skunk talking to me. How the heck can I understand skunk? And the skunk looked at me and said, don't worry about it. Enjoy it. So we talked for a few moments on the weather and different other things. And I walked away and do some hunting. Every night we have a little short conversation about different things, the weather mostly, and about how things are going on. And the skunk always talked very calm, very cool. And one night, it was getting a bit dark and a bit cloudy. It wasn't going to rain. We already knew that. The skunk looked at me. He started getting nervous. I said, hey, what's wrong? He says, oh, there's something going on here. I think there's some other animals coming in my territory, so I'm going to have to check it out. Can you keep an eye on my kids for me? I looked at the kids. Kids are all happy. I said, okay. Skunk took off. 5 minutes later, the skunk came back, kind of beat up. I said, what happened to you? Oh, ran into a raccoon. Had to scare him off, but he was kind of a testy old guy. But you got him away. Oh, yeah, I skunked him good, and he left. Now I marked my territory again. I asked him if he's okay. She said, not too bad. The next few seconds later, the father came out and looked at me, and he started talking, which I was surprised again. And he said, well, we're okay now. We have to go. I said, okay. When you come back, come and see me. So for about a month, I didn't see them. So I figured maybe they went to another territory. And a few months later, after that, both of them came out and said hello. And I said, hey, do you move to another territory? Oh, yeah. He says, a much better territory, and we're going to stay there for now. And then I said, okay, we'll ever see you again? Oh, he says, oh, yeah, we'll come by once a week and say hello. And he says, what day? I said, well, we don't know days. But midweek, we figure. From then on, every midweek, they came for a visit. They talked about what's going on, how they're hunting, how they got new children, how they're starting to grow up, everything looking pretty good. Also, they were talking about dogs and everything causing trouble. So I said, look, you can always come in here, which is pretty safe, and you're probably safe from the animals, because I'll make sure dogs won't bother you. He said, well, the area is a good hunting area, so I'm not sure. So one time they came back with the whole family. He said, well, we're going to stay here for a while. I said, why? Well, the blinking dogs are giving me a lot of hassles. We're going to stay here. But we're having a little meeting with all the other skunks, and what we're going to do is gang up on the dogs. I said, okay, you can stay here until then. So a few days later, they popped up, kind of beaten up. I said, what happened? Oh, we had a competition with the dogs. We took them on, all the skunks, all of them. What do you do? Scared them away? Oh, yeah, they ran like heck. So I said, hey, that's pretty good. He said, oh, by the way, we're going to have some new babies coming in from another brood of skunks. Don't mind if they come in? I said, as long as you don't stink me, I don't mind. So a few more skunks came in. But then I had a little problem with my neighbors because there's too many skunks. So I asked the animal people what we could do about it. They said, well, we could split them up to different areas. So I said, well, I better talk to the skunks. And he goes, what? Talking to skunks? Were you crazy? I said, yeah, we got to talk to them. So I went back and told them what happened. And all the skunks, a whole bunch of them came down. They had a little conversation about what to do, what not to do. And I said, don't worry, people relocate to good locations. And all the skunks thought for a while and said, okay, we'll do that. So a couple of days later, the animal people came in. The skunks got in the cages and all took in different areas, except for my family. They stayed. And from then on, we had every summer, we had a good conversation. We talked about the new kids, about how troubles they get in. And I talked about myself a little bit because I was nice and quiet. I was retired, and I was pretty quiet. I had little minor problems with paying bills and all this, but they weren't interested in that. So I didn't say too much about it. So from then on, I always talked to the skunks, and they always talked to me. And it went pretty good for a long period of time. Stuck in bed, at home, because I got hurt. But the skunks always came to the windows and said hello. So I wasn't alone. I was happy about that. Very good visitors and very good friends. And that's the end of the story.